A very good morning to one and all. Let us continue with the spinal injuries. In that, till yesterday, we discussed about the what are the definition, then types, causes, pathophysiology, diagnosis, and signs and symptoms. Today, we are going to discuss with the management of spinal injuries. So in the management section, first to pre-hospitalization, before the admission or before hospitalization, we have to, if you are seeing some spinal injury patient, you have to monitor airway, breathing, and circulation. You have to monitor it properly, whether the person is having proper airway, is there any obstruction, or breathing pattern is normal, or whether breathing pattern is irregular. Then proper circulation, you have to check for the pulse rate, heartbeat. It will help to identify whether the any difficulties in circulation. Then cervical alignment is important at all times. Cervical alignment means soon after the spinal injury, or if a person is suspected from spinal injury, you have to immobilize the neck region. Okay, you should not move the neck region. Okay, either you can keep a pillow, or you can put uh, some blocks, or to helps to immobilize the area. If it is mobilizing, then again injury can occur. Maintain airway patency to prevent aspiration, clearing of oral secretion. Okay, we have to maintain the airway patency. Okay, in order to prevent the aspiration, and always you have to clear the oral secretion. If any oral secretion is there, that should be cleared properly. Then modified jaw thrust if cervical injury is suspected. So jaw thrust method you have to modify if there is any suspicion of cervical injury. Control bleeding, we have to provide pressure bandage or some other management to control the bleeding. Then positioning, mainly neutral position. We should not fix the area. We have to leave it for patient control. Otherwise, if you are fixing, then patient will be taking more stress and can lead to further injuries. Then emergency management, including initial treatment of patient with core injury, focus on two aspects: preventing further damage and resuscitation. Mainly, soon after the spinal cord injury, mainly we have to focus on two aspects. Mainly, first one is preventing further damage, and second one is resuscitation. Okay, in that preventing further damage, we can go for immobilization with a hard cervical collar in case of cervical spine injury, and care in transportation of patient is of paramount importance if the spine is unstable. So we can provide a hard cervical collar. It will helps to prevent the prevent the mobilization. We have to mobilize the area. It will helps to prevent further damage. Resuscitation is aimed at airway maintenance. Okay, if they are having some airway obstruction, or if they can't able to take breathe, then we have to provide resuscitation. Adequate oxygen saturation of peripheral blood should be assessed with the help of pulse oximetry. Restoring blood pressure to acceptable limits. If the blood pressure is low or if it is high, then we have to balance it. Then preventing bradycardia, then done simultaneously to prevent any ischemic damage to the already compromised cord. So if there is any arterial obstruction, or any reduction in circulation, that we have to manage in order to prevent the further damage to the spinal cord, because sometimes obstruction of blood vessel can lead to ischemia. Then, other than this one, pharmacological management including, or medical management including corticosteroids, example dexamethasone, it will helps to prevent the inflammation. Then proper oxygenation or intubation should be done if there is any respiratory paralysis. Then administration of analgesics. Then nutrition support should be given. Administration of intravenous fluids like normal saline or ringer lactate. It will helps to maintain the fluid level. Then administration of epinephrine and dopamine. So soon after this spinal injury, there's a chance of epilepsy or seizure, or sometimes brain cell damage can occur. So we have to provide this medication. Then spine immobilization with the help of long roll position. Okay, we can use a long roll, and we have to maintain the position to avoid mobilization. Then cervical collar, if there is any suspicion of cervical injury, we have to provide cervical collar. Then chest physiotherapy or quad cuffing. Okay, so chest physiotherapy we have to provide in order to relieve from the obstruction of secretions. Okay, or any respiratory obstruction is there, that we can prevent with the help of chest physiotherapy. Next one is surgical management. In that, mainly surgical decompression. Okay, in surgical decompression, the surgeon is removing the fractured or misplaced bone, and they are compressing the bone together. Okay, so it will helps to maintaining the normal neurological function. Then spine fixation with the help of with metals like rods or any some screws and all. They are fixing the spine internally. Okay, so that is called spine fixation rhizotomy. So in that, they will remove the fractured or the malpositioned vertebrae, and then afterwards they will fix it. Okay, so it's lithotomy mainly we are using in if any incomplete spinal cord injury is there, or extradural lesion is there, so or facet dislocation. In this condition, we are going for this surgical management, and also for coda equina syndrome. Okay, so these are the surgical management for spinal cord injury, surgical decompression, spine fixation, rhizotomy. Okay, then advanced treatments are there for spinal cord, those who suffered from spinal cord injury. In that, GM1, that is also a ganglioside, and that preventing secondary injury. Then losaroid, that is a potent inhibitor of lipid pre-oxidation without glucocorticoid activity is desirable. So that is also advanced treatment. Then functional electrical stimulation. So those who are having spinal cord dysfunction or injury, for them they can use, or remaining life they can continue with the help of this kind of treatments. In that one, another one is functional electrical stimulation. In that, an electrical stimulation to innervating nerves helps in extremities. Okay, so the with the help of this treatment, they can produce some electrical stimulations that will help for the movement of the extremities. Then neural processes, this allows rudimentary hand control. Okay, so for proper hand control, we can use this neural process artificial device, which will help for proper hand control. Then vibratory stimulations and electro ejaculation. Okay, those who are having sexual dysfunction, they can go for electro ejaculation. That will helps to maintain the sexual functioning. Okay, then rehabilitation, including cognitive rehabilitation therapy, is there. That is mainly focusing on the thinking, memory, okay, and this all abilities. Then speech therapy. If they are having some disabilities in speech, we already studied about speech therapy. So different kind of speech therapies we are providing. Then mental rehabilitation. So in order to relieve from post-traumatic stress disorder and all, we have to provide mental rehabilitation. And physical exercise is also important with the help of physiotherapists to maintain or regain the functional level of the patient. Then occupational therapy for self-care deficit or the personal activities, they need proper therapy or proper practice, so that occupational therapy should be provided. It will helps to maintain the well-being or maintain the maximum level of their functions. Okay, so these are the rehabilitative measures. Then, what are the possible complications? It including autonomic dysreflexia or spinal shock. Okay, those who suffered from or those who recovered from spinal cord injury, they may have autonomic dysreflexia or spinal shock. Then pressure ulcer because of long-term bed. Then pulmonary infections. So because of NG2 feeding or endotracheal intubation or tracheostomy, there is a chance of pulmonary infections like pneumonia. Then deep vein thrombosis will be there because of inactivity or immobilization. Then unconscious, sometimes they can go for unconsciousness, and finally paralysis. Okay, so these are the possible complication of spinal cord injuries. Then nursing management, here mainly we have to monitor airway frequently, clear airway secretions, maintain oxygenation or ventilator settings. So according to the patient need, we have to provide the oxygen, and also we have to make some changes which is needed for them. Then ABG parameters should be assessed. Then respiratory assessment and interventions. Then skin care, pressure ulcer prevention and management, because there is a chance of long term bedridden. So we have to provide skin care to avoid pressure ulcer and its management. The maintain fluid balance and pain management. Okay, definitely they will have some spinal shock, or sometimes they are having pain related to surgery and all. So we have to provide proper pain management. Then log roll position, it will helps to immobilize the head or the spine. Then cervical collar, it will helps to immobilize the cervical spine. Then spine board immobilization, passive exercises, assisting cuffing measures to improve their cuffing reflex, or in order to remove the secretion, we have to provide cuffing measures. Then temperature control or hypothermia management, prevention of secondary injury and complication, and finally we have to provide proper drugs on time according to the doctor's prescription. So these are the nursing management for spinal cord injury. So today we discuss about what are the management. In that we have seen that what are the pharmacological management and non-pharmacological management, and we have seen what are the surgical management which we can do for this spinal cord injuries, and what are the rehabilitation, then complication, and finally we discuss about the nursing management. I hope all of you understood about the topic. Have a nice day. Thank you.